All right, here we are, and I'll tell you what, I got my new shirt. I am now 80 years old. 80, still got my old lady, and the back says, please turn over and resuscitate. So I'm hoping we'll have to do that during this time. We're in the book of Romans, and this is your daily Bible manna, and I am Michael Pearl. Here we are in Romans chapter 4. Now, today it's going to take a little longer because there's a thought here that goes from about verse 3 down to verse 16. I'm not going to cover all that, but it's a very important section, so I want to sum it up for you. I won't be able to hit every verse. Now, he's been introducing the subject of righteousness by faith as compared to righteousness by the law. The Jew understood righteousness by the law. In fact, everybody in the world understands righteousness by the law. Most people believe that if you do what you ought to do, you'll go to heaven. If you're bad, you'll go to hell. And so that's a common understanding. Now, what he's introducing is a new concept to them. It is that God is not looking to what you do, but what you believe about him. He's looking to whether or not you have faith and confidence in him. If you do, then he accepts you on the basis of your confidence in him rather than on the basis of what you do. So the Jew had been circumcised, and that made them a part of the religious system. It put them into the family of Judaism, and it made them acceptable. To not be circumcised would be to be cast out. It was so important to them that if a servant came along, he had to be circumcised too. Anybody that lived with them or lived around them. And so when we come down to verse 7, we talked about that. Blessed are they whose iniquities are forgiven, whose sins are covered. And then he asked the question, verse 9, cometh this blessedness then upon the circumcision only, or upon the uncircumcision also? He's going to use an argument here to convince the Jews that God accepts Gentiles who've not been circumcised. He's going to convince them that circumcision is not part of your salvation. So he says, does this righteousness by faith come on just the circumcised people, or does it come on the uncircumcised people too? It says, how then was it reckoned? Was it in circumcision or in uncircumcision? How did Abraham get to be declared righteous? Was it after he got circumcised or before he was circumcised? Answer, not in circumcision, but in uncircumcision. Abraham was not circumcised in 12, 13, 14, 15, when God called him righteous. Abraham had righteousness imputed to him by his faith in God before he was circumcised. That's a strong argument that circumcision is not an integral part. You know, we might say the same thing about water baptism today. Are we saved before we're baptized in water or after? The answer is quite obvious. We are saved before we're baptized in water. Circumcision was a seal, he said, of the righteousness of the faith, just as water baptism is a seal of the righteousness of the faith. And he received, Abraham, after he was circumcised, received the sign of circumcision, a seal of the righteousness of the faith which he yet had. He had that righteousness yet before he was circumcised, that he might be the father of them that believe. So he's establishing Abraham's lineage as being the head of this system of righteousness by faith. Abraham was declared righteous because he believed. David was declared righteous later because he believed. And today we're declared righteous because we believe. And became the father of this, and the father of circumcision, of them which are not of the circumcision only, but who also walk in the steps of that faith which our father Abraham had when he was yet uncircumcised. For the promise that he should be heir of the world was not to Abraham or to his seed through the law or through circumcision, but through the righteousness of faith. Therefore it is of faith that it might be by grace. So the whole point of this, and we've rushed through it, but you can go back and read it for yourself. The whole point of this is that the Jewish thinking of get circumcised, keep the law, and you'll be a child of God. He said, no, Abraham is our example. He's the father of our faith. He first believed God, nothing else, just believed God. God called him righteous. Later he was circumcised. And he didn't even have the law of God to keep. He just obeyed what God said, and he often disobeyed what God said. But yet he was declared righteous based on faith and faith alone. So that's how I came into the family of God, through believing on the Lord Jesus Christ, and thou shalt be saved. That's your daily manna for today.